I'm Craig Curry.
And I'm Carly Curry.
We're going to tell you a little bit about our story today. And we got a pretty cool story together, but Carly's going to tell you a little bit about herself first.
Like I said, my name's Carly. I've always known about Jesus. However, following him wasn't something I did in my adult life. And I didn't really come to know Jesus intimately until I had hit a rock bottom in my life.
And then my story starts back when I was growing up. Didn't grow up from a real great family, a lot of hardship, a lot of disappointment. I didn't go to church unless maybe with some friends to Awanas or something like that, but not a lot of church. And then I got married at a very young age, before I was 19. My wife then's family was Apostolic Christian, so I went to church there. So I did go to church once in a while. Didn't learn a lot. Was just going through the motions. I was married for 12 years, and it was rocky from day one. So I had started drinking alcohol as a young teen, and did that probably every day of my life until recently. But after 12 years of marriage, I knew that something had to change, and that's the day it happened. I got my first nudge from Jesus. It was about 2004. I said that day, I said, something in my life has to change. And right about that time, I was turning to go home, and I passed a Baptist church every day. There was a sign in front, and it said, "Your life can change. 40 Days of Purpose campaign starts next week." And I said, well, if that wasn't a sign, I don't know what one is. So pretty awesome. I went into the church the next week, went to the 40 Days of Purpose. At the time, it changed my life. I was baptized a week before Easter because of that. However, it didn't change my marriage enough, and it did end in divorce. And so I went very deep into my work and very deep in alcohol. And I was alone for a long time, so I got pretty deep in both, and didn't do much else in life. And then 2014, my daughter's growing up. I moved back to my hometown, trying to spend some time with her, and that's when I went back to the church where I got baptized. Got pretty active in the church, coached Upwards basketball, went on some mission trips, went to Mexico on a mission trip, was really deep with God, but I was still struggling with alcohol. I was on the fence knowing where I wanted to be, but I just couldn't let go. And then there was a night that it probably should have died, and I lived. And then I think that's when I felt there was a purpose, and I better figure out what it was. And so April 22nd, I got up at 8 in the morning, was pretty hungover. I called my pastor friend, and they had just moved to Vincennes, Indiana, and took over church there. Said, "I'm coming to see you." Got in my car, threw a bag in there, came to Vincennes, and never looked back. And that's the day I decided that life was over, and I gave it all to God. I did everything I could to change my life, went to meetings, got deep in the Word, read a lot of books, and I felt His presence. And then that's when the story starts with Carly. It's a pretty cool story. I was divorced for about 14 years, and probably didn't think I'd ever get married again. I knew she'd have to be something special, and so I was going with a friend to Little Rock. He was preaching, or Flat Rock, and he was preaching, and some people went with us, and the girl in the back had said, "Hey, we ought to set him up with Carly." And I didn't think a whole lot about it. And the next day, I called my buddy Dennis, and I said, "Hey, who's this Carly?" And he said, "Yeah, she's a good girl." And I said, "Well, what's her last name? I want to look her up on Facebook." So I looked her up, and I thought, ooh. And then I sent her a message, and that resulted in us going on our first date, and that was about November 8th. But she had to do some background first, make sure I wasn't crazy. But she did agree to go. And I just knew, I think about an hour into it, that something was happening. And then we dated for a while, and January 1st, we're riding in the car together, and it just came over me. I looked at her and said, I think we should get married. And she said,
Okay, let's do it.
And that's was crazy, but it all started with a girl that didn't even know Carly said Carly. Was a very good God thing. And that led to us being married April 22nd. So as you see, I was single for a very long time, and when God put the plan together, we were married in a real short time. And it just was amazing how a plan worked out, that my pastor moved here, I came here. And I couldn't figure out why I was in Vincennes, Indiana, but it all came very clear to me how God had that plan worked out, that we had both had similar backgrounds, we had both overcome that, and he put us together, and I believe it's for a greater purpose. And we're excited to see what that is. And we moved, and we decided we needed to find a new church that was closer to where we live. And we went to one church, just didn't feel right. We walked into FBCR, that is First Baptist Church of Robinson, and it was the most overwhelming, welcoming feeling that I had ever experienced in a church. And we just knew that we found our home. And it's just been a great journey since. And so we're just so thankful for the plan that God has for us. And he does answer prayers. And it's just awesome when you put your faith in him and follow his word. And Heaven, we wish you a blessed day. And if you need a church, this is a great church to come to.